Our next session is a fireside chat on the topic Building a Robust Cloud Strategy, a Business Moat. Hear from our two startups on what are the design principles of creating an effective strategy which works and what are some challenges in that. Please join me in welcoming our speakers for this session. Shrini Viswanath, co-founder and CTO Upstox. A brief introduction. Shrini heads the strategy, product, operations, and technology divisions. He began his journey with Upstox with a vision to offer a cutting-edge platform that is intuitive and simple to use for both first-time Demat account holders and high-frequency traders. Moderating the session is Nat Natraj, co-founder CEO, AccuKnox. Nat is the co-founder and CEO of AccuKnox. He was previously the co-founder and president of AccuKnox Technology. Nat has over 25 years of experience in enterprise software, cybersecurity, in growing companies to achieve market leadership. Pleasure to have both of you join us this morning. Over to you, Nat.
Thank you very much, Justin, for the very kind and warm introduction. Certainly, I don't deserve that. It's something which my mother would be very proud of. Thank you very much, Justin. Okay. Srini, fantastic to share the panel with you. You're the kind of amazing leader that can share incredible thoughts about the cloud and the cloud journey. And would like to thank all the audience and special thanks to NASSCOM. In terms of Srini, it's quite coincidental that our paths almost crossed. I grew up in India, ended up in the US, and you grew up in the US and ended up in India. So it's quite coincidental, and it certainly makes for a very, very interesting sort of discussion. And we find ourselves in the same panel. So quickly, what I'd like to do is you are a real live practitioner. Not only are you a practitioner, you've studied cloud at Urbana-Champaign. For some of you who you might know, the whole World Wide Web came into being at Urbana-Champaign, pioneered by Andreessen, and then the Netscape project. And the world is a changed world since the browser came into being, and all that can be traced to Urbana-Champaign. And I'm sure, Srini, you must have been incredibly inspired by that whole cloud web revolution, which you were very much a part of in your college. So would love to get to know you a little bit more. What was a eureka moment? I'm sure every entrepreneur, right? It's rarely is it a well planned out Harvard Business School kind of MBA, PowerPoint. Let me start with this. Is there some eureka moment? Would love to have you share that with us. Srini?
Thank you, Nat, for having me, and thanks for everyone at NASSCOM for having this wonderful event. So I'm honestly, it's there's no such Harvard business plan moment that for many people happens when you're starting a business. For me, it was, as you rightly mentioned, I was studying in Urbana-Champaign, and I've always had this idea of starting a business somewhere in the intersection of technology and finance. I majored in computer science and I got a minor in business. So that's all towards building up towards this eventual goal of doing something wonderful in the area, in the intersection of technology and finance. Around a year or two after I graduated from college, I actually came to India on a social visit. And that's when I realized that when you're looking at how people invest their money into the stock markets or put their wealth to use, it just struck me as something that just had a vastly large scale for improvement that could be done. And coming and seeing the tools that were there in the US, and me and my other partners used to work in technology and financial firms and used to do high frequency trading in the US and in other markets, just looking at the sort of trading tools that you had over there and compared that to what you normally get as a retail investor in India, there was an extremely wide gap over there. And so that was sort of the initial impetus for us to say, hey, I think there might be an opportunity here to build a large business. India is a large economy. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And we see it continuing to grow and dominate in the world sphere, not just in the next coming year, but in the next following few decades, right? So, this is when the start of a lot of people who once also migrated to places like the US, I started thinking about coming back to India and starting something there because they saw this as a land of opportunity. So that's sort of how our journey started. We packed our bags over a decade ago and landed in India to build what is today Upstox. And initially it wasn't all roses. It was a very manual process to open a brokerage account. As a customer, you had to sign over 20 or 30 different pages to open a brokerage account. As a broker, we had to make sure that each and every one of those pages were signed properly. The cross the T's, dotted the I's, and if you missed even one thing, one signature on that, we couldn't open your account. You had to send it back to you, and you'd have to sign it and then send it back to us, right? So fast forward to 2016, I think the mobile revolution really took India to the next level, right? 4G became accessible, smartphones started becoming more and more affordable, and the government started taking the whole concept of digital identity to the next level, right? So when you look at the trifecta, these three things coming together, this just bore a ton of fruits for the entire financial services industry, right? Suddenly the underserved and the unbanked started becoming people who were aspiring to start investing in the stock markets, right? And that sort of just accelerated onwards in the next 5 years as people started doing their own research, people started following their own news, content became a lot richer than what it was a decade ago, connectivity became a lot better. You can go to any tier 2, tier 3 town in India and you'd still get 4G connectivity over there. So as all of these ingredients started to cook together and bubble up, it really gave rise to a lot of fintech unicorns like ourselves at Upstox. And I think that's really what, a lot of it was just good timing, having a good product that really fulfilled the needs of the customer, and continually focus on just customer experience, right? So from the beginning till now, we've had a lot of learnings, especially coming from the US and coming here and coming to India and building for the Indian consumer. Some of these things can be night and day. What you think would work over there would never work over here. And sometimes what worked over here would actually work over there and vice versa, right? So a lot of learnings. It's been a great journey so far, scaling up stocks to this level. And we think that India is still just at the cusp of growth. And we truly believe that there's another several decades of growth left here in India.
Fantastic, Srini. That sounds incredibly exciting and inspiring, right? So I'm sure the audience would love to hear from you as a practitioner, right? Let's talk about the cloud. We all know what it's supposed to deliver, right? It's supposed to give you massive business agility, right? Instead of shipping a whole big piece of monolith software, you really have microservices. You can ship software at the speed of business, get into DevSecOps, and we know all the things which it's supposed to deliver. Second thing it's supposed to deliver is incredible cost benefits, right? You can spin up and down, business agility, rather than having a bunch of servers which are not utilized most of the time. You're using just your buying a drink by the glass, right? So you got a lot of cost savings, right? That's what is advertised. Would love to hear from you. What is reality?
Yeah, and to add to that, it also comes with it a whole new set of jobs being created, right? You mentioned DevSecOps. That job wasn't even there 10 years ago when we started, right? So I think apart from, of course, the infrastructure changes we'll get into, it's also created a ton of very high level employment opportunities and created a lot of skill sets that weren't previously there before in the country, right? So I guess I'm a bit of a dinosaur myself because we started over 10 years ago. So we were in an era when there were no, public cloud infrastructures in India. And at that time, really what you had were you did have data centers and then generally 80-90% of data centers were, you BYOB, you buy your own servers, you buy your own lease lines, you stitch them together, you hook it up, and then you run your business. And that's how we got started because there was no other option. That was there right there, right? And then slowly that evolved into getting to sort of like a managed data centers. You'd have tier 4 data centers that would offer extremely high uptime. They sort of offer a little bit of compute time. managed services, but not so much virtualized, but still like you're renting servers on the rack and you're paying the rental fees and things like that, right? The real big game changer happened in 2016, which is when I believe Amazon came to the country, 2015, 2016, and started opening AWS and opened their first data center in Mumbai. So, for anybody who started their business in the cloud, your only option was, you'd either put it up in AWS Singapore, or you would do your own data center. But for most businesses, it's too financially expensive to sort of build your own data center. So you'd go with AWS Singapore, right? But once AWS Bombay came in, that was a game changer, right? Because it's not just for folks who were in Singapore that want to come to Bombay. It was also people like us who are heavily regulated in the financial services industry, who have regulations that say that the data and the compute have to reside in the local country and the geography. That basically opened it up for us, right? So we started our journey around 2017, 2018. Once it became a little bit more mature, we started migrating part of our services from on-prem towards a cloud. The easier ones went first, and then the harder ones. Initially, the journey was just very simple compute instances, what they call EC2s. So we just took lift and shifted our old servers and then popped them into EC2s. Immediately, we got greater control and fine-grained control over our servers. We had better reliability. We didn't have people who had to run to the data center and fix anything if it went wrong. You could just click with a mouse, reset it over here, and everything was running, right? And then as the years progressed, we realized that, hey, you know what? This can be used for much more than just compute instances. We've started migrating most of our workloads from EC2s to, Kubernetes instances. We're also heavily using managed services from Amazon, so that, we don't have to get into the business of, bringing up and turning down database servers. We don't get in the business of scaling up and scaling down based on load. And of course, get more into this, but cost management is fantastic, right? Most businesses don't need resources 24/7, right? You only need resources for when the users come on to the website or whatever your product or app may be. For us, it's a stock market. It's fixed amount of time between 9 and 5 is when the majority of our customers come. So why do we need to spend money on or generate CO2 for the rest of the hours of the day, right? So we're also fine-tuning hours to match spikes during the trading hours, to be more conservative on our spends, and to be mindful of the environment. So a lot of things that I think has come in the last couple of years with cloud, but definitely in terms of maturity of technology, maturity of being able to deploy new products and services, it's really, really freed us from a lot of grunt work, which I think is amazing.
Fantastic, Srini. That's amazing. I'm a cloud security practitioner, and our goal at AccuKnox is to deliver the best security possible. What about security? Is that something you worry about, or you think it's well covered?
100%. Security is on everybody's mind, is on every technology executive's mind today. I think that cybercrime is one of the fastest growing businesses, unfortunately, in the world today. So and there are more and more methods that are being done to sort of exploit businesses. So it's definitely, I think, with cloud services, you do get the flexibility, but generally there is this continuum, right, where you have convenience and security on playing tug of war on each event. So it's our job to manage that, right? To figure out, at what point do we want to draw that line and say that, hey, convenience goes away, and we're going to value security first, right? And same thing with the cloud, right? Because it makes it so easy for you to spin up, for you to develop, for you to deploy. You also have to be extra cautious in being sure that your checks and balances, your security systems, your access control rules, all of those are in place and being monitored continuously. So we have a separate cybersecurity division that we do set up, right? And apart from looking at regular compliance and audits, we also actively monitor for threats. We also actively look for any vulnerabilities within our app and our OS systems. And, we regularly check to say that, hey, there's nothing that's going off, or any alerts that are going off on any of our systems that shouldn't be there. So security has now become, part of like compliance, where you just have to continually keep looking at it and improving it. There's no finish line or goalpost that you reach and then you say, okay, I'm done, I'm secure. It doesn't work that way. You just have to continually be on guard, right? It's like having antivirus for your laptop. There's just no end to it. You're gonna have to keep continually making it, updating it, and making sure that it gets better.
Very, very well said, Srini. So, as a CEO, hiring talent has to be sort of number one, obviously, after acquiring customers, or on the same kind of vein. What is your model of getting talent in your organization? You can hire good talent and train them. India, some of the best banks, you can get hire talent in the marketplace. You can do acqui-hire of small companies which have built some great cloud talent. So how do you go about thinking about your whole talent management strategy?
Oh, great question. I think India as a talent hub has dramatically changed for the better in the last decade. I think probably about 10, 12 years ago, to give you an example, product and design talent were very difficult to find in India. But now there's great thought leaders, great innovators coming out of not just schools, but also, the other unicorns and big companies that are here that have massive R&D bases here in India. We've sort of created this great farm that turns out great talent, and it's a gift that keeps on giving, because every year you have more and more talented folks coming out into the system, into the workforce, right? So I think that the way we look at talent management is multifold. We do believe in hiring people straight off of college and training them and giving that vocational training to then make them the better and better programmer over there. We pair them up with our best senior folks that are there in the system to guide them through not just the technical aspects of things, but also the domain knowledge that comes with it. In terms of attracting talent, right, it goes beyond just a pay package, right? And in this environment, every company has to look at something beyond just a pay package to attract a client, to attract an employee. And that's because, they want to do something more than just work for the money, right? It has to be a powerful mission. It has to be a powerful product that touches consumers' lives. It has to be something that is of impact, right? So what we try to do is we try to put a lot of people on exciting projects that are where you can see quick results, where you can actually see the delivery, get it into the hands of the customer, you get a review right away, and you sort of get that great feedback loop, right? You build something, you deploy something, and immediately you get that feedback loop that tells you whether you did a good job or you need to course correct. So we try to get into that product loop mindset for all of our engineers. I think that's a great learning experience, not just for their career, but also to sort of understand the domain of finance and to understand their customers better.
Great, Shrini. That's fabulous. I think you guys have done an amazing job of building talent that obviously shows in the product and service you deliver. And I'm sure that makes your customers and your investors very, very happy. That's fantastic. Srini, so young entrepreneurs, right, can learn a lot from seasoned professionals like you. There's obviously the MBA path, which gives you the textbook approach to business, but nothing like learning it from the school of hard knocks, which is what I'm sure you've gone through. So what is an advice you would give to the 22-year-old Amar?
Yeah, I would say that, look, it's in the world of, being an engineer coming into building a business. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is experimentation, right? You've got to, when you're building a product and you're trying to get to that stage of building that minimum viable product, it's going to take a lot of experimentation. It's going to take a lot of iterations. Don't be upset if it doesn't work out the first time. It's the whole game is that you have to keep trying, keep knocking on different doors and see what works. That's part of the game. There's no secret formula to sort of making it and from to an MVP. A lot of it is a lot less intuition, a lot more hard work, as you said, right? And it's going to take something that maybe as an engineer you're not used to. You're used to sort of mathematically working yourself through and finding a formula. But starting a company is a lot more different in the sense that there's going to be too many variables. out there to put it in a math form, and you can't optimize everything to find that perfect solution. So what's the next best thing? You just kind of plug in values on each of those and see, what cranks out something acceptable. So embrace the fact that you have to experiment, and the fact that you need to try and 8, 9, 10 different things until you get to the right answer. That doesn't mean you're going on the wrong path. That just means you're getting better at it.
That's fabulous. Srini, in terms of Amazon is obviously the largest company, one of the best companies and all that. But what I like about them, almost more than anything else, is their customer obsession, right? They obsess over customers, whether it's a small individual customer like you and me on the retail side, or on the enterprise side, which are all customers of theirs, right? And Andy Jassy in particular, who used to run AWS, is now the top sheriff running Amazon, right? And I've had the pleasure of meeting with him. He's an incredibly customer focused, almost customer obsessed person, right? And you're a large customer of his. So if you were to meet with him, or if rather he makes an effort to meet with you, which I'm sure he will, what are the top 2 or 3 things you tell him that they're doing great job, bang a job, great job, don't change it, keep doing more of it? What are the 2 or 3 things which you guys are doing okay job, you could do better? What would that feedback channel from you to him would be?
Well, I'm certainly thrilled that they're opening up a second availability zone in Hyderabad. And I think that's fantastic. It's great for Indian businesses, as we are looking for other zones to be resilient and to ensure that our customers also geographically are spread across the board. So to give them a better experience, the more data centers that Amazon opens here, it's better for the customer, it's better for the business. So kudos on that to be able to get that going. And we're excited to partner with them to also launch on AWS Hyderabad. Hopefully, we'll be more excited if we can open up something in North India also. I think just to deepen the connectivity all across India, it'd be fantastic. If there's probably one area I'd give recommendation on, I think it's that, we've got everything done in India. The only thing is that the billing is still done in US dollars. So, the fact that, hey, you've got a lot of Indian customers, and I think I speak for a lot of startups here and large companies, right? And given the macroeconomic climate here, it makes sense to sort of, keep the billing in the same currency as the country and the company that's there, right? So I think even for small startups that I've spoken to, that it has become an issue for sort of sorting out the payments in that sense over here. And for large companies, of course, to sort of, forecast the future spends, it sort of becomes an issue as you start becoming a larger and larger customer. So, hopefully they take that into account, all 3 cloud providers, and look at something for that.
Great. Thank you very much, Srini. You've been very insightful, great practical tips, wisdom, anecdotes. I think I certainly enjoyed it a lot. I always look to learn from great entrepreneurs like you, and I certainly have done that. I'm sure the audience really appreciates it. We've got Thanksgiving around the corner, so wish you, your family members, your parents, amazing Thanksgiving holidays, and the year is about to get over. So have a wonderful end of the year, and have a wonderful getting into 2023 with enormous momentum, gusto, and spirit. Stay healthy.
Thank you. Thank you, Nat, for having me on board, and thank you for everyone at NASSCOM too.
Thank you, Nat and Shrini, for that insightful and informative chat.